Let's go ahead and look at numbers 23 and 24. Now these tend to give everybody a little bit of trouble because of the way we have to set it up, but if you think through it and understand the relationship between these two lines, you can figure it out. So let's go ahead and read number 23 together. It says that they give us 4 points. Now if we look at these points, I'm not going to read each coordinates because we'll look at that in a minute, but if we look at these 4 points, we'll notice that one of the points is missing the x value. So what they want us to do is find the value of x so that the line JK is parallel to the line LM. Now remember, parallel lines have the same slope. So what we want to do here is find the slope of the line that we have all the points to, and that line is going to be JK. So we need to find our slope for JK, because if we can find the slope of line JK, then we can find the slope of line LM because they're the same, because they tell us that the relationship is parallel. So let's go ahead and do our first step of finding the slope of line JK. So this is number 23, and let's find the slope of line JK. So the slope would be m equals 7 minus negative 18 over 2 minus negative 8. When we find the slope, these add to 25 over 2 plus 8 is 10. They simplify to 5 over 2. So the slope of JK is going to be 5 over 2. So now that we know the slope of JK and they tell us the relationship, they are the same, we can set up our slope equation or our slope formula for LM and set it equal to the new slope that we found, that we know that it's equal to 5 over 2. So let's go ahead and do that for line LM. So line LM, instead of writing an M here, I'm going to write our new slope, which is 5 over 2. Equals, and we're going to set up the same thing. So it'd be 4 minus 9 over x, because we have to use that as the variable because we don't know it, minus negative 1. And now when we set those equal to each other, if you remember, when we have fractions on both sides of the equal sign, we can easily solve this by cross multiplication. So instead of multiplying across and making this super complicated, we are just going to cross multiply. So 5 times x minus a negative 1 would be 5 times x plus 1. So that is 5x plus 5 equals 2 times 4 minus 9. So 4 minus 9 is negative 5. So 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. So now we have both sides after we cross multiply. Two-step equation, subtract 5 from both sides. 5x equals negative 15. Divide 5 by both sides, and x equals negative 3. And that solves our equation for x. So x equals negative 3. All right, now let's look at number 24. Number 24 is just a little bit different, but it's the same format and how to solve it. They tell us, they still give us 4 points, but this time we're missing a y. Okay, so now we're missing a y. We are also saying that the relationship is that they are perpendicular to each other. So line EF and line GH are perpendicular. Now, instead of being the same slope, remember, perpendicular slopes are negative reciprocal slopes. So we have negative reciprocal slopes here. So when we have negative reciprocal slopes, we still have to find the slope that we're able to find. In this case, it's not EF, our first one, because that has a variable. It's going to be our second line, which is GH. So we're going to find the slope of GH first. So let's go ahead and find that slope first. So number 24, line GH. Set our slope m equals negative 13 minus 11 over 8 minus 14. So negative 13 minus 11 is negative 24 over 8 minus 6, which is negative 6. Negatives cancel out to a positive. 24 divided by 6 is 4. So the slope for GH is 4. But now remember that they are perpendicular, so they are negative reciprocals. So when they're negative reciprocals, we can find that our slope for EF will not be 4, but it will be negative 1 over 4. And now we have to set up our problem to negative 1 over 4 because of the slopes. So line LM, instead of writing the same as 4, we're using negative 1 over 4. Set it to our problem, which is 5 minus y over 14 minus negative 6. Okay, so now that we set this up, we can simplify it. Those become a positive, and let's cross multiply it like we did on number 23. So 4 times 5 minus y is 20. 20 minus 4y equals negative 1 times 14 plus 6, which is 20, so negative 20. Subtract